Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial I think you guess what we're making. We are making our Christmas table runner. Mind you, it's only part one of the table runner. Sorry guys. I had to break it down in two parts because I kept going and realised forget it, it's going too long. So this is part one. You will receive part two on Friday, which means you probably won't get the V-stitch top started until Monday of next week. Sorry guys, but I do want to get Christmas finished this week so we can focus on Christmas gifts next week. In the meantime, you will need your obviously your three colors, okay? And we used green, white, red, and so on, just like our previous tutorials. The green, white, red, and so on. Now we made a placemat for the first Christmas item this year, and then we made our coaster. I'm sorry, we made the coaster and then we made the placemat. Did we? Yes, we did. Get it right, Mary. You will also need your 4mm hook, 2 or 3 stitch markers. Of course, you'll need that darning needle. You've got to weave in those ends. Sorry, guys. You'll need your scissors, and you will need a measuring tape. And let me talk to you quickly, just quickly, about measurements, because I don't want to get too much involved with it, because measurements are all up to yourselves. All right. Now, I said I would leave instructions possibly on how big mine was, but I had a visitor this week and she said, well, this is really a really small table runner, right? So what I thought if I give you my measurements, you're going to do it too small. What you need to do, and I stated in the tutorial, to chain a multiple of 3 until you get to your desired length. Add 1 at the end. Okay, I do state that in the tutorial so you won't be lost. Now, the other thing is you need to remember the measurements of our table runner widthwise and lengthwise. Add for your sizes. Let's just say right now mine measures a width of 8 centimeters, which is, I don't know, 21, I'm sorry, let's try 8 inches. 8.5 inches, which is, 21 centimeters. Okay, so let's say that's how much it measures. When we're done, it'll probably measure, and I'm just trying to think of how many more rows I'll do. Another 1.5 inches, 2. You're looking at altogether the width will be probably around 11.5 inches. Sorry, I'm going a bit crooked here. 11.5 inches or 12 inches, that's like 30 centimeters roughly in width. Now in length, it'll be roughly 80 centimeters or 33 to 34 inches. That's what mine will be. Okay, now I know a lot of people would want theirs to be a lot bigger. Remember, all you need to do is chain up the amount you need and allow for those extra centimeters. So maybe allow for the, what did I say? 10 inches, 13 inches, I can't even remember what I said now. 8 inches, allow for that much more in length and width. I hope that makes sense. In other words, just make it bigger than mine. How's that? But this, to me, is the right size for my table. And as you can see, it almost doesn't fit in. And I still have another 3 or 4 more rows to do. So it's going to be a little bit bigger in width and obviously a little bit bigger in length as well. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore, guys, because once again, the tutorial does go for a long time. So I will let you get on with the tutorial. I will add measurements up the top when I'm talking about the measurements within the tutorial. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, we are going to start off by using the green. Now, the actual pattern calls for a multiple of chaining 3. Then when you've come to your desired length, you add 1 chain at the end, which we can talk about that later. Now, what length do you want yours, I hear you ask? It's entirely up to you, and it depends on the length of your table. However, yours truly will just pop up the chains that I made right there. Can you see it? And that's as many chains that you will need to have the measurements that I made, which is also right there as well. If you want your table runner longer, then you just need to add another 3, another 3, another 3. When you get to the end, you chain your 1. All right, which I'll talk to you about at the end of this row. So let's get started. Grabbing your tail end, wrapping it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it there. Grabbing your back loop halfway over, hold it there, grab the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in and pull up your loop. Super duper easy so far. So far. It's not too bad, the pattern. You pretty much know all the stitches. We've done them in the past. If you are new to the channel, firstly, welcome. Most of the stitches will be relatively basic, all right? So first we are chaining 1, which is 1, and chaining 2, chaining 3, all right? So yours is a multiple of 3, and then when you get to the end, we'll chain the 1. So keep going. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, I have 9 there. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do them. That number that you see there right now, chain up to that amount, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, here are all my chains, and mine is, relatively long, as you can see, and we will get started on our first row. Here we go, first row. Okay, we chained up our last 3. Now we're going to chain 1 more. And we're not going to count that as a stitch, okay? So yarn over your hook, skip that one there and just go 1, 2, and 3. And in that third one right there, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing in exactly the same stitch. And that's your first cluster set. Okay, so yarn over your hook, skip 1, 2, jump into your third with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then you're going to do the same. Skip 1, 2, jump into your third with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this is a very basic row. Skipping 1, 2, and jumping into your third with your 3 double crochets. Whoops, 2 and 3. My thread has a snag in it. Just give me 1 second to finish off this stitch. See how it's pulling? It has a snag up the end of the top end of the table. All right, so there we go. I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do this. All I would like for you to do is to skip chain 2, putting 3 double crochets into your third. Okay, now being careful. See how that stitch is really pulled? Give it a tug. And what it does is it closes the stitch a little bit, so you know right here is a stitch. 1, 2, and then jump into your third. 1, 2, jump into your third. 1, 2, jump into your third with your 3 double crochets, all in a row, and go all the way across here. Get to your last 3 or 4 stitches and I'll meet you up. But before we do, yours truly, naughty me, forgot to put a stitch marker in the very first stitch we started with. So we chained the 4, we skipped the 4, kind of 4 looking thing. So what we're going to do is your very top chain that we did there. Okay, there's your double crochet stitch there. There's your double crochet stitch, and right next to it is this last chain stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there, and you'll need that later to slip stitch into. And I'm a very naughty girl for forgetting that. I'll try not to forget it in the next few rounds. Hence the word few rounds. All right, so head off on your own. Put your 3 double crochets in every third stitch. Get to the last 3 and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. You should have 1, 2, and 3 chains left. Now, if you're a little bit short or a little bit, over, it doesn't matter. Just skip them and go into the last chain. Or there is another way where you can actually jump into the stitch before and undo that chain and give it a tug. Just got to be careful not to undo and pull everything undone. I would just skip it if you're new to crochet. But in the meantime, we're all going to jump into that very last stitch. Now the very last stitch is the really, really tight stitch at the end, but that will stretch, trust me. And we're going to put our 3 double crochets in there for now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now in that same stitch, we're going to put chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So we're actually going around the corner. We're not turning around and going back the other way. We are literally going round and round and round. Okay, so chaining 1 and 2, and in the same stitch you are putting 3 double crochets. See if you can try and crochet over that tail. If not, just leave it be if it confuses you, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to pop 3 double crochets in the same stitch, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, now we're chaining 2 again, 1 and 2, putting another 3 in the same stitch, 1, 2 and 3. All right, see that little thread now? Pop it way at the back. You're still going to weave that in later. That's not the end of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back the other way until we get to the end. Now how we do that? We jump into the same stitch that we are in, okay? You can either go into the top loop right there or into the bottom loop and have them really stuck together and very tight. It would probably benefit to go into just that top loop right there with your 3 double crochets. It's right opposite the cluster set that you did in the previous round. And that's what we're calling these sets. We're calling them cluster sets. All right, so it looks like that. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to do exactly the same. There's your big cluster set from the previous round. Grab that top stitch and do your cluster set on top of it. So it's almost like a mirror image of each other. Very basic round. Go into the next, grabbing your top stitch, 2 and 3, and let me just show you what you have there. That is what you have in your corner. All right, so what I would like for you to do is to keep going until you get to, now I'm going to grab another stitch marker here, all the way down, all the way down. Now I want you to actually stop on your second last. So there's your last and there's your second last. I want you to stop on that second last, okay? Because we're going to do a little bit more in that last part, all right? So go ahead, continue all along that side, and I shall meet you up in a moment. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. I asked you to get to your stitch marker, so just take out that first stitch marker. Okay, and what we're going to do is, let me get a bit more close for you. There you go. Just pop our normal cluster set in that last stitch there. If I can get my, here we go, hook in. 1, 2, and that's where your stitch marker was. 3, your first one. All right, so now initially we're skipping those chain 3 and we're jumping into that stitch. Now that stitch is awkwardly done, so what we're going to do, ordinarily we would jump into the opposite like that, but I don't want to do that because that leaves a really big gap. So what we're going to do is actually jump into the stitch where your set is and do your 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Then you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, jump into the same space with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Again, chain 1 and 2, and here you're going to slip stitch into your stitch marker. Okay, so slip stitch into that stitch marker right there. Take your stitch marker out like so, pull your loop through like so, and then pull it through the loop on your hook. Now what you have formed is your opposite side of the other side. Okay, your double crochets, chain 2, double crochets, chain 2, double crochets, all in the one space. Now we are going to slip stitch into that very first stitch that you see there. It's actually your second stitch, your second double crochet. So you're going to slip stitch into there, like so. Slip stitch across to the next stitch, like so. Now in that space right there, the really big space between your 3 double crochets, you're going to pop your stitch in there like a normal slip stitch, straight into that space. Then you're going to chain 1 and put a single crochet in the same space. And a single crochet is pop your hook through the space, pull up your loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Then you're going to grab your stitch marker. Whoops, there we go. And there you go. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try it. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, so now to get over these double crochets, you're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. And then you're going to pop a single crochet in your next space between the 2 cluster sets. Right over the whole stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 2. 1 and 2. And do exactly the same in the next space. Super duper easy row, this one. And that's all you're doing in the round. 1, 2, jump into your space. 1, 2, jump into your space. And before we go on, I will show you where you need to go. Okay, what you need to do is get all the way over to your first, and let me get a nice close-up of this part for you, so you can see what we're going to do here. That is your first corner that you're going to come up to. So just pop your stitch marker in the space before your corners. There's your 1, 2 and 3 in the one corner, yeah, from the previous round. So pop your stitch marker in that space right there. So we're here, we're going to go all the way along here, and that's where your stitch marker needs to go, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this round. Let me take that stitch marker out, and you've chained your 2. Let's bring that up a little bit more. You've chained your 2, yep. So now you're going to jump into that space with a single crochet, and now there's your corner. Chain 1 and 2, jump into your corner. That's your corner stitch where your chain 2 was before, with a single crochet. And now here you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and you're going to put another single crochet in the same space. Okay, and then you're going to go 1 and 2, jump into your next corner with your single crochet, and then you're going to go 1, 2, and in the same space, single crochet. Okay, chain 1 and 2, skip over your 3 here, pop in there with a single crochet. Whoops, don't lose your stitch like I just did. 1, 2, and single crochet. 1, 2, and single crochet into your next. 1, 2, single in your next, and I think you pretty much know what you're doing here. Now, before you continue, just want to let you know your work may shrivel up a bit now, but don't stress. When we put our next row, it'll stretch out a little bit more, okay? So continue in your single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, all the way across. Now, what I want you to do, pop a stitch marker. Here we go again in this second last stitch. Now, there's your corners. There's your 3 double crochet, your chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So pop your stitch marker in the space just before, and I'll meet you up because there's a little bit to do in that space as well. All right, so go ahead, complete that half of your row, and I'll meet you right there. Alrighty guys, here's where our stitch marker is. Yes, we are chaining 1 and 2. Now we're going to take that stitch marker out for a minute. We're going to pop our single crochet in the space just before your corner area. Now that's your corner area, yes? So you're chaining 1 and 2, jump into your corner stitch with your normal single crochet, chaining a 1 and 2, and doing another single crochet in the same space, chain 1 and 2, jump straight into your next corner there with a 1, 2, single crochet in the same space. So now you're going to chain 1 and 2, and there is your stitch marker. You're going to jump straight into that stitch and slip stitch into that stitch right there. Take out your stitch marker for a minute, just to get it out of the way. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to start your first colour chain. Pull a loop through and give your work a cut. Now before you cut your work, make sure everything is correct, yeah? Alright, hopefully mine's correct. I'm just kidding. I know it's correct, I checked it before. Alright, so that's initially what you should have. Yay! Beautiful. Now we are going to grab our very first colour change, and our very first colour I'm going to change to will be the white. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to keep in sync with our design here. There's your green, and your next one is the white, okay? All right, now the best part about the white, because we're starting new, we can actually start in a corner and pop away from the side stitching there, and we can actually crochet over that side stitching as well, making sure you're keeping your work on your right side that you're working with, you know, the side that we just finished off, okay? And if it helps you to start where that stitch is, you can if you are an intermediate crocheter. If you are new, just start exactly where we are starting. All right, so there's your first corner. Remember the chain 2 we did in the corner? I want you to pop your hook in that first corner. You're going to come to the second corner there. So pop your hook in the first corner, grabbing your whatever color you're using, pull your loop through the corner. All right, now just pass your thread forward so we can lock it all into place. Okay, chain 1, 2 and 3. Grab your stitch marker, whichever that may be. I'm using the green today. It's a very nice green, isn't it? It's a little bit tight, the stitch marker to close though, I noticed before. Like that. It's a little bit tight. All right, now in the same space you are going to put 2 more double crochets. So you know your double crochets. Pull up your loop, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, and another one. Then you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and place 3 more double crochets, sorry, 1, 2 and 3, and yours truly has been crocheting over that white tail. Now I'm going to pass it at the back, and we're going to weave that in later as well. Remember we chained 2 across this cluster set here, so in that chain 2 space you need to pop in 3 double crochets. No chaining, just 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. All right, now you're jumping into your corner, your next corner right there, you can see it there, with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and 2, and you're going to put another 3 double crochets in the corner. 1, 2 and 3. So you've done your whole corner there, and now here in this space right here you're just going to pop 3 double crochets. Now I'm just going to grab that tail, pop it in my fingers at the back, because I'm going to crochet over it. Not necessary, you don't need to, but it's just something I want to do. So I'm going to crochet over it. You can leave it lying around and weave it in later. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. Now you've got your best part. In every space you come to, 3 double crochets. Super duper easy this round, yes? And this is where your round is going to straighten up your piece a little bit more. Okay, jump into your next space, 3 double crochets. I love, love, love this pattern. I love, love, love. You know, don't worry, you will get a difficult stitch later. Sorry. It's not going to come that easy, you know. All right, so what I want you to do, oh, I lost all my work there. You are going to, let's try bringing out the screen, hey? How's that? You're going to crochet with 3 double crochets in every space you come to. grab your next stitch marker. Let's give you another close up again. Okay, right there in that second last space, it's actually the last space before your corner. So in that last space, get to there, right there, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Let me take that stitch marker out. Well, it's not the row, it's the end of this side, isn't it? Because the row is really big now. So in that stitch marker, we're going to pop our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Well, stitch marker space, I should have said, not stitch marker. Alright, so now we have our corners. Remember our corners? That little tiny space in there, you need to put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and 2, and 3 double crochets, or as I call them, double cluster sets. Okay, now there is a space before your corner, so you're going to pop your 3 double crochets in that space. 1, 2, and 3, and that tiny little corner space is there. Pop your double cluster set of 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now that space there, 3 double crochets in your very next space. 1, 2, and 3. Guess what? 3 double crochets in your next space. And 3. Pull up your loop. You guessed it. You're going to head off on your own. I'd stick around and let you watch me, but it'll take like forever. All right, so there is your first stitch marker. In the space just before the stitch marker, another one. In the space just before your stitch marker, you are going to pop that other stitch marker in there. Oops. All right, so continue along that side right there. You get to that first stitch marker and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Take out that stitch marker. Okay, and in that space there you are popping 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and here you're going to slip stitch into that green stitch marker stitch right there. Okay, just take out that stitch marker. Oops, that's not supposed to happen. Let's try that again. Pop your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Alrighty guys, what you're going to do is, see you're in that stitch right there, you're going to slip stitch into your second double crochet across, slip stitch into your third, and slip stitch into the center stitch right there. Chain 1 and a single crochet in that same space right there, grabbing again your stitch marker. Now this round is going to be super duper easy. You know why? Because you've already done that in the green before. Okay, so now you are going to chain 1 and 2, and because you're in the corner you are going to put a second single crochet, chain 1 and 2. Now you're going to jump over that cluster set into the first space with a single crochet, chain 1 and 2. Now you've got a second one here. Before we only had the one. Now you've got a second one, so you're going to pop a single crochet in that second one, chain 1 and 2, and in the corner you're going to do your single crochet, chain 1 and 2, and a single crochet. Just turning your work over. And of course you are chaining 1 and 2, and you're jumping over that space. 1 and 2 into the space. 1 and 2 space. 1 and 2 space. Okay, so you know what you're doing here. You know exactly what you're doing. All the way across. Now I want you to stop when you get to the space before your corner. All right, so go ahead and do all of that. Get yourself here and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Well, not the end of the row, the end of the side. Take out your stitch marker. Now, like normal, you're going to single crochet in that space. And then you've got your 3 double crochets. So you're going to chain 1 and 2, jump over those 3 double crochets and hop in the corner. Okay, single crochet in the corner. Yes, chain 1 and 2 and single crochet in the corner. Chain 1 and 2, jump into the next space. Chain 1 and 2, next space. 1 and 2. Now we're going straight into the corner. 1, then 1 and 2, another single crochet. Whoops, turning your work a little bit. Chain 1 and 2, jumping over those double crochets, hopping into your next space. Chain 1 and 2 and into the next. 1 and 2, next. 1 and 2, you guessed it, next. Okay, super easy this row. Okay, so as you've noticed, we have actually repeated this row here, and now we've repeated the single crochet row, chain 1 and 2 here. The pattern will change eventually, but for this row here and your very next row, it will be the same. All right, so go ahead and complete this side. Get to this stitch marker, or even just a space before the stitch marker. Pop a stitch marker in there so you can see where I mean. Oh, there's a stitch marker there, and you want to get to that space right there. All right, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, we are up to our stitch marker. Pop that out. Okay, there's our stitch marker space right there. We're going to pop a single crochet in that space. We still need to chain 1 and 2, and that's our corner. We've already done our corner, so all we really need to do is actually slip stitch into the stitch marker. Stitch right there. Like so, and like so. And you are going to pull up a loop and cast off, because you're going to attach your very next colour. And in my case, it's the red. Okay, so I'm going to grab my red. All right guys, what we're going to do is start on our red. Now, that is where we left off. Okay, to find out exactly where we need to start, I'm going to get as close as I can. This is our last space that we're in. Okay, that's where we slip stitch to. That's our single crochet, right? And right there is our space. So that's where we have to put our first corner cluster set, which is your 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. So grab your tail end, pulling it through. Your loop, sorry. Get it right, Mary, you had one job. Pass your tail over, chaining 1, 2 and 3, and you are popping a stitch marker in the top of that third one right there. I have a funny feeling that's a really tight stitch, so I may struggle to put my stitch marker. I don't even think it's in right, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it up at the end of the row. Anyway, if you remember correctly, oh, this is far too close now. We crocheted over our tail. It's not necessary, but I'm going to do that. So pop a double crochet in your corner. That's your second, if you're thinking about your chains as being your first. And now you're popping a third double crochet in that corner. Whoops. Chain 1 and 2, and then popping another 3 double crochets in that corner. 2 and 3. Now what you're going to have here is you're going to have extra spaces to do your cluster sets in. So just go ahead and do your normal 3 double crochets in your next space. Yes, and a set of 3 double crochets in that very next space, and guess what, you know exactly what you're doing here, don't you? Sometimes it looks like this yarn is splitting, but it's actually not. It's a bit of a confusing yarn. It's the sparkle in the yarn. I think it's split, but it's actually the sparkle playing tricks on me. How dare you, sparkle? How dare you? All right, so now we're just going to jump into the corner space, which is there, right there, okay, with your, guess what, double cluster set. Chain 1 and 2 and your 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and whoops, 3. There's your next space, 3 double crochets. All right guys, your next round is going to change, but in the meantime I think you know what to do with this round. However, for the newbies, I'm going to stop after this cluster set right here of 3 double crochets, pulling up our loop, okay, and let me just show you quickly where you are at. All right, so this is pretty much what you're looking at. Notice how it's starting to flatten out again. Remember before it was all scrunched up and annoying us a little bit, and we thought, uh-oh, that's not going to work, but it is. It's starting to straighten out, okay? Well, it was for me. I've got this, it's terrible. This is terrible yarn. Don't tell anybody, but it's terrible yarn. Shh, don't tell anyone. All right, so here we go. We're going to pop our stitch marker just before the corner of our next set there, and that way for this side right here, all the way, get to there and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. I have, let's take that stitch marker out of there first, just to confuse me a little bit. Alright, now, confuse me, gosh, wonder what it's doing to you. Pop your 3 double crochets in that space there of 1, 2 and 3. Now just before your corner there's that space, you're going to pop your 3 double crochets in that space, 2 and 3, and there's your, oh, it's really tight in there, you can't see it because that's my tight stitching, guys. I just want to show you. So I'll just lift it up a little bit with a needle, a pin or a needle, whatever I've got here. Okay, so there is your corner right there. So you can see where I'm popping my hook. Hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. So in that space you are putting your 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and 2 and 3 double crochets all in the same space, because it's our corner and we're going to keep forming our corners, otherwise we're not going to have any corners. It's going to be lopsided. Okay, now you jump straight into the next space with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. I think we've got oh, the end is on the other side, sorry. Next space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then another 1, 2 and 3 in your next space, and then, I mean, if you played your cards right, that's what it should look like. There's your corner, 1, 2, 3 cluster sets, and now we're doing a corner again. So find that little corner space if you can, and do your 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and 2, turning your work, and putting your 3 double crochets in the same space. 1, 2, and 3. A bit tight, that space for me. I don't know if I did the stitches a bit tight. Now you're jumping straight into that very next space with your 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And of course, 3 into your next. 1, 2, and 3. Alrighty. Yes, yes, yes. You're going to do this all by yourself, all the way across. And actually, don't do that last one because I want to show you how to look after that end. So pop your stitch marker in the stitch. Oh, I'm so far away. Sorry. Pop your stitch marker in the space before your last cluster set. So just in the space before it. And I shall meet you up. Here we are at the end of the row, just taking out that stitch marker. I didn't put that on properly, but anyway, it didn't fall out, which is good. Okay, and now we're going to pop our last cluster set in that space there. 2 and 3. I'm sorry, make that our second last. Hello, wake up, Mary. We have our last cluster set here. Now I got you to keep this separate only because I wanted to show you that I can crochet over the tail, and I thought maybe you might like to do that too, which I do in most rounds anyway. Yarn over, you don't have to. Pop into the space and do your 3 double crochets. Whoops, don't get caught. 2, hello, and 3. All right. So we crocheted over the tail, but you are still going to weave that in later. Yes, you are. Listen to me. Yes, you are. Slip stitch into the top of your chain right there. Pull your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now you're just going to chain 1 or pull a loop through like you would normally. And you guessed it, we're going to change our colour again. And in the nick of time too, look at that. Yarn chicken. All right, so we're going back to our green. Now this is where our pattern is going to change. Oh, I didn't pull that loop through properly. There you go. Now our pattern is going to change just a little bit. Just a little bit. And we're going to start from the corner. Instead of starting from there, we're going to start from our corner. Pop our hook in, grabbing our little tail and pulling it through like so, passing it over the front. Okay, is this too close? Sorry guys, but I just wanted you to see this part. Chaining 1, 2, and 3, and well, of course, you guessed it, we're going to pop a stitch marker in, and just for fun, I'm going to pop in a yellow, just for fun. Something different, why not? Maybe next row we'll do the green. From here, I'm sorry. From here, we're chaining 1 and 2, and we're going to pop a double crochet in the same space. So the first 3 chains will act as a double crochet here, and then you've got your chain 2 and then your double crochet. All right. All that in the one space, pass your tail at the back again. Now you are chaining 1 and 2, and you are jumping over all of this and double crochet in your space. Chain 1 and 2, double crochet in the space, 1 and 2, double crochet in your next space, 1 and 2, getting the picture, doubling your next, and 1 and 2. Now we are here at the corner again. We're going to pop ourselves in the corner with 1. Then we're going to chain 1 and 2. And we're going to pop another one in the same corner because we are actually forming our corner there. And that's the only time you put an extra one in, okay? So chaining 1 and 2, hopping out of your corner and into your first space with a double crochet. Chain 1 and 2, space, double crochet. Chain 1 and 2, space, double crochet. I think you get the picture. 1 and 2 and go on. All right, so head off on your own. Continue in that manner all the way down until you get to just before your next corner, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, I am here at the end of this first side, okay, and I've done my chain 2. Don't forget that chain 2. You're jumping into your corner space with a double crochet, chain 1 and 2, and another double crochet in the same space, chain 1 and 2, jumping into your first space with 1 and 2, and your next. All right, I think you understand this, 1 and 2. So all you are really doing is double crochet, I'm in the wrong spot, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, get to your corner, do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the same space, do all of that until you get to the corner, do your corner exactly the same as this one, go all along this side, get to this spot right here, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. I've got my little tail end there I'm going to hold on to. I've done my chain 2 and I'm going to do a double crochet in that space, crocheting over that tail end. We are going to weave that in as well, okay? Chain 1 and 2, and then I jump over all of that. We've already got our corners done. So what we're going to do is slip stitch into that stitch right there, pull a loop through, and take out that stitch marker for a minute. Should have taken it out while we slip stitched. Alright, and now all you're doing here, you're using the same thread. You're going to pop yourself in the space, pull a loop through, and pull a loop through to the loop on your hook. You're just going to slip stitch into that space, okay? Then you are chaining 1, 2, and 3, and you guessed it. Let's grab the green, just for fun. Just for fun. And there you go, all right? So now, these chains here will be classified as 1 double crochet, yep. We're going to put a second double crochet in there. All right, now here's a little tricky stitch in crochet. Let me get a nice close-up for you. Don't stress too much. If you are a newbie, just put a normal double crochet in there as well, okay? And you don't have to do this stitch, but I say take the risk. It's called a wrap stitch, okay? So yarn over your hook, and you see that double crochet that we just did? You are popping a double crochet around the post of that stitch. So pull up a loop like normal. Don't make it too tight. Of course, don't make it too loose either, but don't make it too tight. You've got your 3 loops like normal. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that's what you should have. One normal double crochet and 1 double crochet with a wrap around it. Then you are chaining 1 and 2. And in the same space, you're doing 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And in that second stitch, you are doing another one of these wrap stitches. So wrap your yarn around, wrap it around the post, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that's what you should have. Oh, I just pulled a thread. Sorry about that. There you go, back into place. Now in your very next space, you're jumping out of the corner now. In your very next space, you're doing your 2 double crochets. Like so. Now in your second double crochet, you're doing your wrap around the post, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Okay, and you've done your 1 with a wrap. So you've done 2 and 1 wrap on top. So 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then you do your wrap around that second post. Like so. Yep. And then you're doing 2 double crochets in your next space, 1 and 2. And then you are doing the wrap around your post. Okay. Another double crochet in your next space. And another. Well, actually it's only 2, but anyway. Now you are doing your wrap around your post. Whoops, 2 and 2. And then 2 double crochets in your next space, which is before your corner. And now you are doing a wrap around that second post, or second double crochet if you will. Then you are popping into your corner space with your 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and a wrap around that second one, chain 1 and 2 because you're in the corner, doing 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then you're doing your wrap around your second double crochet. And you know the rest. Jump into the space, the next one with 2 double crochets, and a wrap around your second double crochet. Next, 2 double crochets and your wrap. Alright, I think you get the picture. So I think what you should do is, oops, the wrong way around there. Continue in that manner all the way until you get to the very first corner, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, that's the side that we did. It's getting bigger now, isn't it? Alright, so there we go. Now I finished that, whoops, right, not in frame, let's try that again. I finished that section right there and I'm ready to jump into my corner, okay? So what I'm going to do is jump straight into the corner space, and why am I so high up? Let's bring that down, that's better. Jump straight into the corner space right there with my 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Do the wrap. Whoops, let's try that again there, that's better. And from here we are chaining 1 and 2 and doing 2 double crochets in the same space. Remember, because it's the corner, and 2. And then you do your wrap around that second stitch. Can get a little tricky, that second stitch in the corner, because it's very squashy. Alright, in the meantime, jump straight into your next space with your 2 double crochets and a wrap. Don't lose a stitch like I just did. Alright, I don't think you need to see me do this because you've done a whole row of it, and now you know how to do the corners. So continue this side, do the corner, go all the way down here, and meet me when we get to that stitch marker. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. I've got the space left before the corner, so I'm going to do my last 2 double crochets in that space there. Okay, and then we do our wrap stitch on the second one. Now, by the way guys, again, if you are new and you really struggled and you really didn't like the idea of this, then go ahead and put your 3 double crochets in like I said, okay, because what you'll do is you'll end off with the same stitches here. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect you in the next round anyway. So just make sure you have your 3 double crochets in there. Now in the meantime, we are slip stitching in the top chain here. Take out your stitch marker, like so. Pull your loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now before you continue, make sure everything is perfect. If there's any mistakes, best to fix it now, because we are going to cast off this thread right here, pulling up a loop. Okay, and there you go. Give it a cut. Oops, try that again. Cutting nothing, cutting air as you do. And now we're going to change to our very next color, which is the green white. So we're changing back to the white. Now leaving everything you saw here, hopping straight into your first corner there. Pop your hook in and pull your loop through, like so. Pass your tail over, and you are chaining 1, 2, and 3. Grabbing your stitch marker. Oh, let's grab the yellow just for fun. Oh, I'm being a bit silly, aren't I, guys? There you go. Grabbing your stitch marker, pop it in. Now you are chaining another 2. 1, 2. And then in the same corner, you are doing a double crochet, I should say, because your chain 3 in the beginning will act as a double crochet. Pass your tail at the back for a minute. Before we continue, just to let you know, these last 2 rounds that we did, you are going to repeat in the white and the red, and then you are going to meet me back here in a couple of days' time to do the last 4 rows. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to let you head off on your own because this is part 1 of 2. Okay, had to make it part 1 of 2, guys, because it's just going for so long. So it's getting really big. So I'm making it part 1 of 2 on purpose. So head off on your own, repeat these last 2 rows with your white, then repeat the other 2 rows again with your red. Meet me back here on the very last spot before your red, and we will get on with the final rows of our table runner. Okay, but for now I just wanted to show you very quickly, just quickly, so that you know where we're going, just how to weave in a couple of these ends. All right, see this green one where you've only got that one little double crochet going over it and there's nowhere to weave that in? Well, you can weave it in and out of the red stitches without even being noticed. Okay, see that right there? This is where we crocheted over the tail. And what you need to do is find a little red. I'm trying to find a way to show you. There you go. See that little red right there? Stitch right there, split it, and going back through the other side into the green. This is the back of your work, remember. Just check the front that you can't see. This white's in the way now. I'm going to take the white undone. You don't need to do that. I'm just going to do it so you can see from the screen. It's just really hard to see this way. Okay. Oh, that's better. So turn it over. See, you can't see the needle there. You can only see the needle on the sides because it's coming out the sides. That's normal. But you can't see the needle in the middle. You just pop your needle through. This might be too close. Sorry, guys. And then just pull that needle through right there. Then you're going back the other way and doing exactly the same thing in a different place. So pick up another red thread and just pop your needle right through, making sure you can't see it from the front, and you can't. Okay, once this is done, second one, that's plant. Because what's going to happen is you've already crocheted over it once, you've sewn it in once, you've sewn it in a second time, you are officially done on that one. Now see this one over here? That's the very first thread we did. You need to weave that in. Okay, you need to weave it in through, go back into, I'm not going to show you because it'll take too long for you and I don't want to waste your time. Go back in there and just go around once and go halfway around a second time. You're weaving inside where you've crocheted over. If you remember, we crocheted over at the beginning. All right, so I'm going to let you head off on your own. Do your 2 rows in your white, do your 2 rows in your red. Meet me back here in a couple of days' time and we will concentrate on a border. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things you do for me. And don't forget also, we have lives on Wednesday at 4 p.m. and Saturday morning at 10 a.m. every week, Melbourne, Australia time that is, to discuss our projects that we are doing now, what is happening in the future, and get ready for some exciting things that are happening in the future here at Wow Crochet. Thank you for watching and ciao for now.